whirly-birds for the Spectrum once you mod it up to that 120 or beyond, as with any flywheelers, will mainly be shots that you'll get one when you hear like something that sounds like two pieces of wood clacking against each other. But yeah, they'll either veer to the right or to the left, far right or far left, or they'll literally whirl, spin around in the air, and then just drop to the ground. I'm gonna see if I can try and recreate it here. I have a 35 dart drone loaded, so let's see if I can get some whirly-birds in this shot. But yeah, some of the shots when I talk about it will in fact be a mix of whirly-birds and straight shots. There was one. There's another. So there we go. There were two whirly-bird shots there. I'll replay this in slow motion and point it out. But yeah, there you go. So just know that the chronograph readings, you will be getting whirly-bird shots unless if you have perfect alignment. But outside of that, if you really want the whirly-bird issue to end, you would have to get yourself a 3D print of stock spacing spectrum cage, because that's actually the main reason behind them happening, is that the stock spectrum cage is a bit too thin and flimsy that under this kind of high pressure, and well, not very high pressures, but increased spin speed thanks to the wiring and the wheels, the cage does bend and flop a little, which does send darts veering awkwardly. Alright, so I have 30 darts loaded up in this drum mag. We'll be firing 15 paste so that we could get the optimal spin speed, and then 15 just spamming the rest of the drum magazine to get, the lowest possible readings. So we finished off at 119 with an average of 118 after 15 pace shots. Now then, let's take it up to speed and just spam the rest of the drum magazine. Alrighty then, call me Spam I Am, because we're just gonna rapid fire the rest of the drum magazine into the Chrony. Alright, last one being an 86. There were some that jumped up to the 90s. Others, one of them was a mystery because of whirly-bird, it jumped down to like 35. But outside of that, getting an average of 80 FPS. Mainly 80 to 90 FPS shots, but the average of 80. Compared to, a Strife, where if you were to rapid fire that, both in the slightly modified form of just a rewire and stock, you'd be dumping down to like 40 FPS. So the fact that this guy, the lowest it can go is like 80 FPS, is just absolutely amazing. And the highest reaching 130 as I've seen. Either that or it's just me misaligning the barrel, but who knows. Regardless though, the Spectrum's amazing. With the FPS reaching as high as even 130, more optimally the 120s, and going down as low as 80 FPS, there is no doubt that the Spectrum is the perfect blaster, especially for HVZ games with that 120, 130 FPS cap, such as, the iconics of End War, Afterworlds, and Ragnarok Oktoberfest. With this blaster, you'll definitely be able to hit zombies from 50 feet away if you pace your shots, whereas with crowd control, let them come to you, and once they're within like 30 feet range, then you could just spam your shots and not worry, because that 80 FPS will help you reach them from that distance. In terms of competitive play, you're better off running a Springer or a Lipode flywheeler if it comes to outdoor events or any FPS cap that's at like 150 or above, because with those people running Lipos, they have the benefit of having no motor sag, so they could spam shots at you from 50 feet away at 120 FPS each, and it will not drop down to like the 80s like this guy does. You would have to pace your shots really nicely and choose your fights really wisely if you wanted to use this in an outdoor or in general high FPS setting. That being said, though, for indoor arenas, I've seen a lot of them here in the US. So, because like Australia and Singapore, they really do like their 300 FPS caps. I don't think I'd fancy the idea of being shot by a 300 FPS caliber from like 5 feet away. But here in America, majority of the indoor games tend to cap out at like 120 or 130. The Spectrum will get the job done there. Whether you want to just try and snipe people across the gym or get up close and personal and just pull that trigger as fast as your heart and your muscles desire. So there we go. That's an overview of the Spectrum and what you get out of it when you do a simple rewire and wheel swap. This has been Spartan here talking about this guy, and I hope you guys take it into consideration. If you have lipo, you're better off with that. But if you're like me, who just has house rules that says no lipos or anything that can go up in the chemical flame, ironic since alkalines can do the same thing. But yeah, regardless of that, if you're strapped on cash, or as I said, house rules, this is the perfect mod that you can do to get a blaster that will be able to compete with certain lipo builds and in general HVZ.